I'm here with senior Matt Winter. Matt, you guys are coming off the conference championships, which were 2 weeks ago. Talk a little bit about that race and kind of how you think the team did.
We did really well at that race. I think we pretty much performed to expectations. Right after the first mile, I took a little spill when a runner fell in front of me, and we've been running in a pretty solid pack up to that point, and that was kind of a catalytic moment where Garrett and Liam took off a little bit. But overall, we ran, I think, really strong, and we probably could have held that pack together a little bit longer and maybe done a little bit better. But overall, we had just like a great race, performing to expectations, and I mean, stuff happens that you can't account for. So.
And what kind of training have you been doing the last 2 weeks getting ready for regionals?
We've done some quicker stuff, just to get that turnover up and be used to race pace, but mainly it's just kind of easy mileage. Hay's in the barn. It's time to get ready for that championship race.
And you're heading to Western Oregon to the Ash Creek Preserve course. It's going to be kind of rainy there. Talk a little bit about what your goals are and what the team's expectations are.
Well, from what I've been told, it's a fairly flat and fast course, and so I was kind of hoping to have like a really good run like we had at Amen when we had that good weather, but now it's here and it's going to be rainy. I think we still probably pull off some fast times as long as it's, not too slick, and everyone's looking good. Everyone's looking really strong and mentally tough and ready to go into it. And it's just going to really depend on the actual terrain we run on the day of as to whether or not we pull out some PRs or not.
And you're a senior this year, so this is going to be your last race with MSUB. Talk a little bit about the program and kind of what it's meant to you.
It's been a lot of fun being able to run collegiate cross country again, and I mean, I wish I would have had more time to kind of develop in the program. It's a fairly good program, but it takes a couple of years to kind of develop runners, and I've just been getting back into running shape after being in military shape for the last 4 years, and that's definitely a different body type that I've sort of had to adapt to, and it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to come here and run with all the guys on the team and run for Dave.
And you've done fairly well at the GNAC Championships. You were awarded the 2015 GNAC Newcomer of the Year. Talk a little bit about that award and kind of what that meant to you.
It was kind of cool to get the award, I guess. I mean, I didn't really expect it. I didn't think I'd placed high enough to get it, but I guess I was kind of the fastest of the old men or the newcomers this year. And, I mean, it was pretty cool.
Here talking with MSUB head cross-country coach Dave Coppock. Dave, 2 weeks ago, the men were at the GNAC cross-country championships in Western Washington. Talk a little bit about the race and kind of what your takeaways were.
Yeah, I think we had a pretty good race there. We would have liked to maybe finished one spot up. We were fifth, and that's good in the GNAC. I felt like we were in the upper tier of the GNAC. There's some nationally ranked teams up there with Simon Fraser and Western Washington and of course Alaska Anchorage. We were only 11 points behind Western Oregon, and I think on maybe any other day we might have beaten them. And I also feel like we're a better 10,000 meter team than 8K team which is what we had to run at conference. I think if we had another couple thousand meters, that's pretty significant. I feel like we were moving up as a team a lot in the last in that last mile of the race. So I think with another 2,000 meters here at regionals coming up, I think we'll maybe take out a team or two from the conference.
So talking about the West Region race, it's going to be on the familiar Ash Creek Preserve, hosted by Western Oregon. Talk a little bit about the course first.
The course is real similar to our home course at Amon Park. It's flat. There's a berm that runs through it. There's a small hill you run over a couple times, and I think it's real familiar to just about everybody on the team. We have one freshman on the men's team, and of course he hasn't seen it, but I think everybody else has, and that's gonna play into it. I think they're pretty comfortable there, and we've always had a good race there when we ran conference. We finished, either third, fourth, or fifth there at conference. So we seem to like the course. So I think it'll be a good day for us.
And talking about the competition, obviously a lot more runners at this one than the conference race, and obviously some nationally ranked teams as well. Talk a little bit about what your goals are.
I think it's reasonable to expect, for us to go after a top 10 finish. I don't think we can break into that top 4 that's going to qualify for nationals. There's some really deep teams out there, and of course anything can happen. But I think the most likely scenario would be that we could possibly get into the top 10, and that would be great for the team if we could finish up the season, with a top 10 ranking. I think we're in that. There's a big group that's kind of in that maybe 6 through 12 or 13 places that could move around quite a bit, So I think I think we could maybe sneak in there and get a top 10. That would be the best outcome, I think, for us.
And you have 2 seniors on your team that are finishing up on the cross-country program this week. Let's talk first about Robert Peterson. He's been a 5-year member, actually, of this program.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about what he's meant and kind of what you think he's hoping for this week.
Yeah, he was a redshirt his freshman year, and so he's got this final year to finish up. And he's been down a little bit the last couple weeks, after conference. He didn't have the kind of race he wanted, and he wasn't having trouble so much with his fitness. It was kind of a mechanical thing out there with his feet and the spikes he wore on the gravel surface. So I think physically he's right in there still, but he's just been a little down. And earlier this week he seems to be coming back really well, and I think he put in a huge, pretty heavy training load this all fall and pretty much all summer. And I don't think he's really given himself a chance to taper off and rest a little bit. And that's the whole point of our training this fall, was to put quite a heavy training load on, for most of the season and run through some of the early meets. But the other big part of that is you have to have enough rest built in at the right time. And I think with what he's been doing, it's probably going to take him like a 2 to 3, even 3 week period. So he might just be hitting it just right by now. I don't know if he feels that, but I think physically he's there. So we'll just have to see on Saturday if it's the kind of race, if it develops into the kind of race that he feels good in. And I think even if he doesn't feel good, he can really help the team out. And on his when he's at a high level like that, when anybody's at a high level of conditioning like that, there's very little difference between your good day and your bad day. It starts to narrow down quite a bit. So I think he could even have a bad to mediocre day, and it would really be a good finish. So, but I want to see him come out with a positive experience. He's had 5 years here, and I'd like to see him go out on a high note. Whether it's just helping the team out, maybe placing in the top 10 as a team, or maybe he could shoot for making the all-regional team. I think that's top 25. Those are a few individual goals he could look at. And of course the top goal, if he could make it, would be to get to qualify for nationals. And that's going to be a really tough chore out there because of the fewer berths we have for regionals or for nationals this year. We only have 4 teams going on to nationals. Last year we had 6. And it's based on your finish in the previous year's national event. So with only 4 teams in there, that leaves a lot of guys that are capable of making that top individual spot. So there are 3 individuals that go, and he was the first individual last year out of those teams that didn't qualify. So you just never know. I won't know till maybe a couple miles into the race on how he's feeling. I can tell if he's having a good day or not by pretty early in the race. So we'll see.
And moving on to our second senior, Matt Winter, he's been a great addition to the team this year, but really been an impact runner for you. Kind of a non-traditional student. He's a veteran of Afghanistan, spent 2 tours overseas, came back, and been a good person to have on your team this year. Talk a little bit about what Matt has meant.
It's been really fun having Matt on the team. And being an Afghanistan war veteran, he survived 2 deployments over there, and our workouts are probably nothing compared to that. And the conditions we run in and everything, and he's really been through a lot. And I think it's great that he has this opportunity to get a final year of cross country and track in. And the team thinks a lot of Matt. And gosh, he was promoted to sergeant over there, and he's got some great leadership qualities. So there's just a lot of really cool things about having him on the team. So it's really fun. But it's great because Veterans Day is coming up. So I mean, it'd be great to have him out there, doing his final cross country season, and so I'm just excited to have him out there. So we want him to go out on a good note as well.
And he was just named the 2015 GNAC Newcomer of the Year, a great award for Matt.
Yeah, and that award goes to some pretty good runners out there. You have to, the criteria for the award is you're not a freshman coming in, and it's your first year in the GNAC, so it's usually a transfer or something like that, or maybe a grad student. So some pretty good runners. And we had a guy a few years ago, kind of the same position. He was an older student that came back and was getting another degree, and he had never run college cross country, and that was Clint Choquette back in 2012. So I think it's pretty neat to have Matt in there as well, and so he really deserves it. It was really a nice tribute that he got that award, and he had a really good finish at conference. He was our third runner, and he's always in that. He's very much second half of the season. Once he really got going, really got in shape, he's always been in our top 2 or 3. So he worked really hard to get back into shape, and again, we just want to see him finish up on a real high note and have a good experience.
Great, thanks, Dave.